History's made in the AFC Champions League today as the Philippines has a team in the group stages for the first time. FC Kaya came through a playoff in midweek to take their place in Group F, and they take on another debutant in Thailand's BG Pathum United. Welcome to the latest round of matches. Games coming thick and fast, and the first time we've seen this venue in action, ironically, it is the home of BG Pathum United, so familiar surroundings for them. Formerly Bangkok Glass. And it was in this stadium that FC Kaya saw off the challenge of Shanghai Port just a few days ago to book their place, a single goal victory enough to book them a place in the group stages for the first time. Temperature low 30s once again, 61% humidity. There will be a drinks break as it's over 30 degrees in each half. Pitch looking in perfect condition. It is a mix of grass and artificial surface here at the stadium. New territory for FC Kaya. BG Pathum United. Lots of Thai teams have been in the AFC Champions League before, but this is their debut in the competition. Be a few nerves around, I'm sure. It was a big win for Kaya in midweek when they saw off the challenge of the Chinese Super League side Shanghai Port. Goalkeeper Louis Casas made a fine save in the final minutes of that game to keep the score at 1-0. It was a nervy time having scored the goal early on in the game. And they managed to hang on. There's the new coach, man born in Watford in England, Graham Harvey, took over a couple of weeks ago, specifically at first with his tournament in mind, and looking forward to pitting his wits against the best in Asia. The other two teams in this group hail from Vietnam. That's Viettel FC. And the biggest team in the group, arguably, the defending champions, Ulsan Hyundai. Those two teams will play each other in this stadium a little bit later on today. But a real baptism of fire for both these teams making their debuts. Ulsan Hyundai, who beat Persepolis in the final last year, of course, when it was centralised in Qatar. BG do have a foreign coach as well, Aurelio Vidmar, the Australian. Kaya's league season only comprised of 5 games due to the pandemic. They finished second behind United City FC, who will also be in the competition. They make their debut as well this afternoon. One hates to use the analogy of London buses, but the Philippines wait years for a team in the group stages, and then they get two together. United City FC taking on Beijing FC from China a little bit later on, that in one of the groups that's taking place in Uzbekistan. 3 of the groups in Thailand. We've been to Suriname, we've been to Bangkok. And now we're in Thanyaburi for the latest round of matches. All the social distancing protocols in place, as we've been saying over the last few days. The teams here all staying together in the same hotel, along with all the officials, all in the same bio bubbles. The regular testing and the regular sanitizing, temperatures taken on arrival at the stadiums. Nothing left to chance. But we do have top quality football in the form of the Asian Champions League. BG did win the Thai League last year by 14 points from Suriname United. It was a dominant performance. Lost just 1 game all season, that coming in the final league game. Couldn't quite manage to get over the line and go through the whole season unbeaten. Thai teams haven't had the best of records on their debuts in this competition. It's the 40th edition of the AFC Champions League. Reminder that only the 5 group winners are guaranteed a place in the knockout stages. The 3 best second-place teams will join them.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome
There is Aurelio Vidmar, the Australian coach, just speaking with the substitutes. 5 substitutes allowed during the course of the game. To remind you, you can make those at 3 points during the course of the game, plus half-time. Lots have changed, of course, during these COVID times. There are 30 players in each squad, as opposed to the original, or the normal 25. And here come the two teams, both breaking new ground in the AFC Champions League. FC Kaya on the left of your picture. PHI Pathum United walking out into the familiar stadium, the Leo Stadium, that has been their home for a number of years now. Can they use that familiarity to guide them to a first victory? Players will break, as always, for the team photos, the new way of greeting teams these days. No handshakes anymore, it's face-to-face face-to-face applause. And socially distanced team photos as well. So let's take a look at the two teams. PHI haven't played a competitive game since the end of March. Their side shows 4 changes to the team that lost their season-long unbeaten record on the final day. 2 debutants, Kevin Ingresso was joined from Birenam United, and Jodrak Nomingrak signed from Rayong. Brazilian striker Diogo is up front. He scored 7 goals last season in his first at the club. 4-1, 4-2. We think PHI will go with today. Referees Ruiji Sato from Japan took charge of 3 matches in the Western section back in April. Very experienced Champions League AFC Champions League referee. He was also in charge for the 2019 Asia Cup. Well, not surprisingly, FC Kaya know the same 11 that started that playoff against Shanghai Port on Wednesday. Keeper Louis Casas made a fine save late in the game to keep a clean sheet. Jovan Bedic will captain the team. It's a proud moment for the 31-year-old who's playing for his hometown club. 4-2-1-3, or almost a 4-3-3, if you like. There are the substitutes. So 5 substitutes allowed from each team. Number 44 there, Audi Menzi, was the man who scored that goal in the playoff in the 16th minute. And they managed to hang on. Kaya, they were pretty much under the cosh from Shanghai Port, the more experienced side from the Chinese Super League. But they managed to hang on. A momentous victory and a real chance for them to stake a name for themselves in Asian football. Good chance for some of these players playing on a big stage for the first time to really almost make themselves household names. Both coaches had a message for the fans beforehand. I know they can't be here, but they hope that they'll be looking on from home and supporting and getting right behind the teams. So it is Kaya FC in their Philippines debut in the AFC Champions League that get us underway. In the yellow shirts, they'll kick from left to right in the first half. So the heat and humidity will play a part, as it will in most of the matches in the tournament. And we've seen some quality goals over the opening 3 days of competition as well. Let's hope we see similar here between these two. Victor is the PHI captain, plays the centre of those 3 centre-backs, says Túñez. Victor Matos Cardozo hails from Brazil. Scored 15 goals last season in 28 matches. It's a real aerial threat, particularly from set pieces, the centre-back and captain. It's just gone out of play on the far side. Aurelio Vidmar became their 11th permanent head coach when he was announced in 2016. Did rejoin the club earlier this year. He had a spell at Lion City Sailors in Singapore. Replaced Dusan Chalamsan, who guided the side to the League One title last year for the first time. Rio. Menzi. There's Mitchell. It's a good ball over the top, looking to the front of Daiso. Menzi just behind him. High ball hoisted up again. PHI thought that might have gone out of play and come back in again, but the flag stayed down. It has gone out now, though. Well, Graham Harvey knows the passion that surrounds Philippines football. It's not the #1 sport in the Philippines, of course, so they do have to battle for support. Man born in Watford. With a fantastic coaching career, particularly in Australia. He was born in Watford, just outside London, but he does speak with a slight Australian accent now. He spent that long there. Had a stint at Western Pride and other clubs before moving to Hong Kong. Was in charge of Eastern Lions. And it was a former player from Kaya, Richard Greer, who was involved in coaching. He's one of Graham Harvey's best friends at the moment. He was instrumental in getting him to the club when they were looking for a new coach. Greer himself, who's doing his coaching badges now, and he's an experienced coach in his own right. He's credited with the assist, apparently, of getting Graham Harvey to the club. Forward by Túnez. Cut out comfortably by Mitchell. Menzi with a throw. You may notice the colours on the Kaya badge, red, gold and green, obviously synonymous with reggae music. That was due to the heavy influence of reggae on the club's founding members' lives when they actually started the club. Graham Harvey was asked about that when he got here at the stadium today. He was asked how they were feeling. He said, "We're jamming at the moment," which continues the reggae theme. He's a big Bob Marley fan, partial to a bit of UB40 as well, Graham Harvey. Red Wine is his favourite, apparently. Likes to sing along to that one. Will he be singing here at the full-time whistle, I wonder? It's been a good competitive start, opening couple of minutes. That's a good run by Daiso, who was just clipped. Little trip by Túnez. Túnez, who hails from Venezuela but has a Spanish passport. You just wonder whether an early goal might be more important in this game, with these sides being debutants, than in any other, really. An early goal is often important, but I'm sure both these teams have a few nerves around for their opening game. We've already seen a few nerves from one or two of the debutant sides in the competition. It's a free kick foul on Ingresso. Jodrak. Victor. Now Túnez. Sarach will sit just in front of the back four, the number 6. Playing that midfield holding role. Good ball over the top, chase on for Diogo. It's good defending from Mitchell. May have had his shirt tucked. Diogo continues his ball back to Sarach. Good save. Away by Debrica. And the first shot on target of the game, and the first save made by Casas in the Kaya goal. It's just out of the reach of Diogo that time. Menzi. He'll be playing with a lot of confidence at the moment, having scored that goal. We've got them through to this stage. Good way to endear yourself to your supporters is Debrica. Chipped over the top, comfortable for PHI in the BG goal. Both sides just a bit tentative with each other at the moment. Nobody wants to make any early errors. Diogo. Ingresso. Pushed out wide by Tirasil. And sliced behind by Santafab. It's well wide of the target, came right off the outside of his boot. But that's a couple of times they've managed to find a little bit of an opening here, BG, which will be slightly worrying for the Kaya defence. To give the Thai team too much space. It's a poor kick from Casas straight out of play. Tunis, now Victor. The three at the back have seen plenty of the ball already in the opening minutes. Jodrak, now Sarach. Diogo. BG that are having most of the ball at the moment. They did reach the playoffs in the AFC Champions League back in 2015. They beat Malaysia's Jordarul Tazim in the preliminary round. Well, that's a good take by Casas, but he's come flying out of his area, claimed he was fouled. And has the referee given the free kick? I think he has. Just a little touch by Diogo. Japanese referee. Casas' injury was more a reaction to the thought that he might be penalised for taking the ball outside his area. He was just clipped by Diogo. He has given the free kick. And they got through that preliminary round against Johor Darul, but they were beaten by Beijing FC in the playoff. It was a remarkable record they had in the league last season, BG. 30 games played, 24 wins, 5 draws, just 1 defeat. It was against Muangthang United on the final day of the season. Won 11 games in a row from October to February. And it was success that was built on a very strong defence. They conceded just 13 goals in 30 matches, 19 clean sheets. This was the early effort and the first save of the game, the shot from Thitipan. Bedik. Malasari. It's Casambre. Rio. Malasari. Comfortable for PHI to come out of his goal. Another long ball over the top. Mitchell dealt with it well. There's Daiso. To play off Yodrak. Now a chance for Bedik. Ball's just forced Daiso out a little bit wide. Might be able to make something of this though. Victor stood his ground well. Ball stays in play. A foul by Victor and a free kick to Kaya and a chance to exert a little bit of pressure here. First real chance that Kaya have had to put PHI's goal under some pressure. So he played in all 30 games in the league, kept those 19 clean sheets. He is one of the jokers in the team. PHI Buprom. That's a good take. Had to be sure with that one. There was a player lurking right behind him. Better delivery needed. It's always infuriating when you get players forward from the back and the ball ends up straight in the hands of the goalkeeper. Mentioned that playoff that FC Kaya got through to get here. They were supposed to play Brisbane Roar in the preliminary stage prior to the playoffs, but the Australian teams all pulling out en masse because of the COVID issues and issues regarding travelling from Australia and quarantining on return, etc. So no Australian team, so Kaya found themselves straight into the playoffs with Shanghai Port. Have played in the AFC Cup 3 times. They're not completely foreign to playing in continental football. Got through to the round of 16 in 2016. They were beaten 7-2 on aggregate by Johor Darul from Malaysia. You see this is a massive opportunity to put Philippine football on the map, as will United FC when they take to the field a little later on today. It's caught well by Pathum. Go behind for another corner. So just soaking up a little bit of pressure here, the Kaya defence. So they had a lot of that to do here on Wednesday when Shanghai came at them for pretty much 3/4 of the game. Players tumbling in the penalty area. Referee saw nothing wrong on either side. Well, that's been missed and a chance for Benning. Blue shirt streaming back now. It's looking for the run of Daiso. Straight through to PHI in goal. A chance of a break there for Kaya. It's actually a nice way to celebrate for the Filipino side. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. Relatively new in footballing terms. Positions for the Thai teams were decided halfway through the 2020-21 season. BG were top of the table then. As they were at the end of the season, they hit the top of the table after the 7th round of matches and stayed there to the end of the season. It was quite a remarkable record for them. A lot to live up to next season for Aurelio Vidmar. Here they come again. They've got plenty of blue shirts forward. Pathum trying to guide the ball across. Santifab takes a deflection and goes out of play. Victor. Now Tunez. Good ball out to Yodrak. Ingresso. One of those two new faces in the starting lineup. It's gone out of play for another corner. Third corner already for BG Pathum United. They've defended the previous two reasonably well so far, Kaya. What can they do here? Victor's forward for this. It bounces into no man's land, and it was Piamchanok arriving. Just couldn't get a touch on the ball. Just bounced up. It's the bounce that really fooled him. Did spend most of last season on loan at Suphanburi. Played just the one appearance in the league last season. Piamchanok. It's into a crowd of players. It very nearly ran, but Victor was there to stab the ball away. Menzi. Nobody really attacked it in the middle. Manasari! Just going across the angle. Caught it well, Manasari. Haven't seen too many shots on goal from Kaya so far. Man who hails from Japan. Was a bit of a baseball fan when he was at a young age. Chose to play football because it was more popular in his school. He started playing at 10 years of age, Manasari Amura. Piachinok. Now Tunez. Santipap. Good ball in, missed by the goalkeeper, and surely that's a handball on the line, was it? Well, it's stabbed in now. And PG have taken the lead. And that might be the best option for Kaya, because I was convinced that was a handball on the line initially, which surely would have been a red card. But the ball has been stabbed in for the opening goal of the game by Tirasil. They didn't deal with the ball in. Casas missed it completely. I may have hit him in the face, actually, when he came off Tirasil. Stand corrected. Tirasil should have scored. Well, it has hit him square in the face. And Tirasil reacted. Casas spilled it right at his feet. It's a real comedy of errors, really, for Kaya at the back. Not the way they would have wanted to concede the opening goal. But they have conceded. And BG lead by a goal to nil in the 24th minute. Tirasil. Dangda. It was his first season last season. He only made 4 appearances, scoring just the once after joining from Shimazu S-Pulse in Japan. Well, Kaya will be disappointed because they'd restricted them to long-range shots. It was a bit of a nightmare for the goalkeeper, who missed the initial cross and then spilled the ball when it came back into him. Louis Casas made that wonderful save in added time against Shanghai Port to get his side to this stage in the competition. Casas will need to just get his head together and put that mistake behind him. No point dwelling on it. Can't take the goal back. BG will be delighted to have got their first goal in the competition. So debutant Thai sides don't have much luck. Only one of them has won on their debut in the competition. That was Buranam United when they beat Kashiwa Reysol 3-2. Thai sides have won just 2 of their previous 16 games in the AFC Champions League. Can BG Pathum United buck the trend here? Long way to go. Sarak. Ingresso. Tunez. Yodrak. Nice turn to take him away from Daizo. Comfortable that time for Casas, under no pressure. Kaya playing Ilo City, which is right in the cluster of the middle of islands. If you look at the Philippines, in the number of islands that make up the Philippines, it's slap bang in the middle. The name Kaya comes from the Filipino word, which means we can. Have moved around a little bit. They were founded in Makati, another area of the Philippines, and were FC Kaya Makati for a while before they relocated to where they are now, hence the name change. PHI. Now Victor. Here's Tunez. Those three have had lots of the ball between them in the 27 minutes that we've played so far. Almost 68% possession for the team from Thailand, playing in their home stadium. Santifa. Sarak. Away by Menzi, not very far. There's a little nudge in the back of Tirasil, no foul. Is Diogo. Biding his time, got the ball across, headed away by Casambro. Ingresso. Yodrak. Cross picked out, Ingresso. Tirasil trying to react again. He just ran away from him slightly and allowed Casas to gather in. But it almost fell for Tirasil to try and get a second goal of the game. Casas with a safe pair of hands on that occasion. Just came off the knee of Manasari. Menzi trying to get forward on every opportunity when he can, but they don't want to commit too many players forward at this early stage of the game. Kaya, it's Mitchell. Victor's header. Plenty of time here for Santipap. Piachinok back to PHI. Flip from Diogo. Difficult to try and chase a game in these hot and humid conditions. BG are having plenty of the ball at the moment, and they're just trying to tire their opponents. Casas just getting a wall sorted out. Goalkeeper comes up to punch this time, manages to get some distance on the ball as well. Yodrak. Sarak. Might be a chance for Kaya to break out here. That's a good ball on for Bedic. Offside. Flag went up. It was very close to the assistant referee on this near side. He did well to spot that. Bedic is the captain. Yeah, ball just needed to be released a fraction of a second earlier. Jovan Bedic had just gone a little bit too soon. There will be the drinks break as the temperature is over 30 degrees, coming up to 32 minutes played here. Graham Harvey still will be getting to know his players. So he's relying a lot on his assistant, Yu Hoshida. There's the goal from Tirasil. It looked like originally it was going to be a brilliant clearance off the line. It was Menzies who got back. It smacked him square in the face. I did originally think it had caught his arm, but Casas spilled it. Well, it's his own player that's actually kicked the ball out of his hands. When you see it from that angle, it was Rota that's kicked the ball out of the goalkeeper's hands, and Aurelio Vidmar can celebrate the opening goal of the game. Vastly experienced Tirasil, 33 years of age now. He went on trial to Manchester City back in 2007, along with two other Thai players. It was at the time when Thaksin Shinawatra had bought the club. Did have some issues with work permits, though, when Tirasil was loaned out to Grasshoppers in Switzerland. A year later, the Abu Dhabi football group took over, and the trio were released. Despite that, Tirasil said, even though he hadn't played for the first team, it was a massive learning experience and something which has benefited him for the rest of his career. And he has an AFC Champions League goal to his name now. Well, here's another chance. Diogo's taken it wide, but finishes well. And Kaya caught cold straight from the drinks break. Well, not what they would have wanted. Scored 7 goals in his debut season, having joined from Johor in Malaysia. And he's off the mark too for his new club in the AFC Champions League. Did play for Burinam in the 2018 edition. And that's his first goal for his new club in this edition. Scored twice in 5 matches for Johor in 2019 as well. And a man who likes this competition gets himself another goal to double his side's advantage. And Kaya facing a tough baptism into the group stages. Can they get themselves back into it before half-time? You often see that in various games around the world, that the drinks break, just that moment you switch off for a second. Sometimes it's difficult just to get going again. Tirasil, who scored that goal, did play for Muangthong United in the AFC Champions League in the past. Menzi. Mitchell. It's a nice flick from Angeles. Foul on Jodrak. So it's a tough group, this. Everybody looking, of course, towards Ulsan Hyundai as being the favourites in the group, as they are the defending champions in the competition. Looking forward to seeing them make their debut a little later on this afternoon against Vitel from Vietnam. But the aim, nobody will be thinking about finishing in second place. Everybody will be thinking we can win the group. There's Tirasil, the goal scorer. Diogo, long way out, blocked by Mitchell. Piachinok had to let that one go quickly. He was under a little bit of pressure. Sitapan. Diogo, great ball across. He just needed to pull that back a little bit, and Tirasil would have just walked it into an empty net, but Casas had a safe pair of hands that time. Well, they're starting to enjoy themselves now, BG, having got that second goal. It's given them that little bit of breathing space. Just play with a little bit of freedom. Victor. Back three have been troubled little so far from Kaya in the opening 39 minutes. Sarak. Piachinok. Thought about continuing his run then. Just check back. Sarak. Ingresso. Just need to find a little bit of a spark of inspiration from somewhere. They're very much chasing the game at the moment. BG moving them around. That could tell later on in the game as the heat and humidity takes its toll. It's Kevin Ingresso. A competent debut for him so far, as it has for the man outside him, Jodrak. Now what can Kaya do here? De Bruyke. It's about the first time we've mentioned his name. De Bruyke gets a handball. De Bruyke was actually born in Ghent in Belgium. Has a Belgian father and a Filipino mother. Had a good youth upbringing in Belgium with Club Brugge and Zulte Waregem. Now applying his trade in the Philippines. So Kaya have a free kick. BG holding up a very high line at the moment. Daiso with the ball in. Diogo had to help it away. It was Menzi arriving. Diogo was aware of where the man was coming from, just helped it on its way out for a corner. Good defending. Still more to do though from the corner. Daiso with the corner. I think the referee had just spotted a little nudge in the box. PHI gathered cleanly anyway. Telling off for Mitchell for not leaving the ball after the whistle had gone. Just need to improve their quality of balls into the box slightly. Don't give any niggly fouls away. Kaya, especially when they've got the big men forward, Rotter and Mitchell. And not out of this one. If they could get a goal back, either before half-time or early in the second half, it might just make BG rethink their tactics a little bit. So they have controlled things in this first half, there's no question. Just 30% of the ball has been with the Philippines and the Filipinos, and well, if you haven't got the ball, you can't really do a lot with it. Need to work out a way to string some passes together and keep possession. At the moment, BG are controlling that particular department. Is Tunez. Jodrak. It's a good quality ball in. And the header from Diogo. Comfortably gathered by Casas. He caught it well, but just hitting the ground, he took some of the sting out of the ball and it made it fairly straightforward for the goalkeeper. It's a lovely ball in from Jodrak. Pinpoint for Diogo. Goalkeeper had his positioning spot on. Time to see the ball coming at him. Another offside flag up against Bedic. Not for the first time. The captain just needs to check his run. Approaching the final minute of the first half then. First half which has been controlled by BG Pathum United. The worrying thing for Kaya, they'll have looked at their record and seen that they have a great record of keeping clean sheets. Say 13 goals conceded in 30 matches last season. They won the league by 14 points from Buranam United. It was a comprehensive a league win as you could wish to see. Victor's header. Chase on for Tirasil. Mitchell's there, it's a little short. Casas just got there in time. They're a little bit nervy at the back now, the Filipinos, and that was almost a chance for Tirasil. Mitchell didn't deal with it. Goalkeeper had to. On by Titipan. Tirasil again the target. Comes to Diogo. Might get the shot in. Just wide of the post. I'm not sure if that has scraped the foot of that post on the way past. It was mighty close. It's another really good ball in by Santipark from out wide. And this goes back across goal. Narrowly wide of that post. Very nearly nestled in the corner. You can see the nervous looks on one or two of those defenders. Possibly a bit of an injury here to Carlisle Mitchell, the man from Trinidad. We're into 4 minutes added time at the end of the first half. Not too sure where we had 4 minutes from. There was a minute or so for the drinks break. There was one injury a little bit earlier on in the half, but 4 minutes anyway. And Kaya used that to their advantage. It's cut out by Titipan. Manasari. It's a long-range shot which is taking a deflection. Worth having a go, Benny, from that sort of range. Did score goals in the AFC Cup for Kaya back in 2019. Scored against Lao Toyota and Home United. Goal here would be just what his team ordered just before half-time. It'll be Daiso with the corner. Second chance to cross, maybe. Too close to the goalkeeper. Spin spilled by PHI. Well, both goalkeepers having a little bit of a nightmare at times. Kaya unable to capitalise. They've got the free kick, BG, so pressure relieved. Just got a lucky ricochet, nearly dropped it at the feet of Casambre. PHI. Time for one last attack maybe for BG at the end of the first half. That's given away by Diogo. Goes out off Jodrak. It'll be a Kaya throw. Menzi with a throw. Cannons off Sarak. Mitchell. Better back pass this time to Casas. It's Victor's header. Unchallenged. Fuji. To the 5th minute of added time at the end of the first half. This is Menzi. There's Victor's there again with a header away as the Japanese referee decides that that is it for the first half. A first half dominated by BG, who had over 60% of the possession in that first half. They took the lead on 24 minutes. Tirasil Dangda, having seen his first effort cleared off the line, the goalkeeper spilled the second. Diogo got the second goal to make it 2-0 and put BG Pathum United very much in control in the familiar surroundings of their own stadium in the opening game of this AFC Champions League campaign. There are the two goal scorers going off together. They'll hope for more successes in the second half. Can Kaya get themselves back into it? Half-time, it's BG Pathum United 2, Kaya FC 0. Welcome back to the Pathum Tiny Stadium. BG Pathum United very much in control here on their home ground. There's one of the goal scorers, Tirasil Dangda, who got the opener after a bit of a mix-up at the back when Casas, the goalkeeper, had the ball kicked out of his hands by his own player. A little bit of a comedy of errors, but it allowed BG to take the lead. They added to that with a second goal from Diogo. Both these teams in debuts in the AFC Champions League group stages, of course. Kaya becoming the first Filipino side to play at this stage. So we will see another this afternoon. United FC taking on Beijing. A couple of games in Group I today, as well as games here in Group F. Kawasaki Frontale taking on Daegu. Kaya making a change. It's going to be Kenshiro Daniels who's coming on. It's a double change, in fact, because Abilo Kamita is also coming on as well.
Player number 7, Jogi Setti. Replaced by player number 7, Kenshiro Daniels.
So Kenshiro Daniels, who was actually born in Irvine in California,
Player number 9,
who's coming on.
Replaced by player number 17, Arno Abilo.
So Graham Harvey ringing the changes at half-time in a bid to try and get his side back into this game.
Player number 44,
There is Graham Harvey. Looks as though BG may have made a change as well at half-time. We'll confirm that for you in a moment. 5 substitutes are allowed, of course, during the course of the game. That doesn't include half-time. You can make them at 3 separate intervals during the course of the game. The heat and humidity will play a part a little bit later on. It does mean that you can replace half your outfield players with the 5 substitutes, if you so wish. BG get us underway then in the second half. Comfortable at the moment at 2-0. An early goal from Kaya, though, could put a different complexion on that. They need to just be a little bit more positive in their outlook going forward. Looks like they're going to play a front 3 in this second half. Daniels will sit in the middle. The substitute, De Bruyke, on this near side. Could be the other substitute, Abilo Kamita, that's just in the middle. If that made a triple change, they brought on Melisa as well. So Graham Harvey pulling no punches at half-time. There is Daniels. Got a famous English father, Gary Daniels, who starred in lots of martial arts films. Retired kickboxer. Recently starred in a remake. He was a villain in a remake of the 1970s TV show Kung Fu, which some of the older members of you may remember. Here come BG on the attack right at the start of the second half. Rutter forced to concede the corner. Carlisle Mitchell is one of the players that went off at half-time, by the way. He picked up a knock just before the break. Managed to get through to half-time. Jovan Bedic, the captain, one of the other players to make way. Corner will be swung over by Sarak. It's a dangerous one in as well. Diogo got in front of the goalkeeper. Casas, I think, just got a hand on that. This is Abilo Kamita. Looks like Manasari's dropped into the back 4 in the second half, with Melisa coming on and going into midfield. PHI. Victor. PHI almost playing as an old-fashioned sweeper at the moment outside his penalty area. Here's Tunez. Players don't get too much time to recover in this tournament, just 3 days between games. We'll see these sides again on Tuesday. BG will take on the defending champions Ulsan Hyundai, while it'll be Vital from Vietnam for Kaya. What positives can they take from the game, I wonder, in the second half? Victor's header comfortably back to PHI. Good ball through. Here's Diogo. Oh, he's been hauled down. And that surely will be a yellow card at least. It may even be red because he was going through Diogo, and it is a red card. And Kaya's day here going from bad to worse. It's Rota, the man that's got the red card. And you have to say the Japanese referee wasn't really left with much option. Diogo was in on goal. Don't think Casambre would have come across. It's a professional foul. And Kaya are down to 10 men. Diogo could well have gone on to get his second goal. And Rota's day comes to a premature end. And more reorganisation just 5 minutes into the second half for Graham Harvey. Simeone Rota will miss the next match as well. And a chance from the free kick. Well, as introductions into the competition go, it couldn't have been much worse, really, for Kaya. Will be forced into more reshaping at the back. Say, Odi Menzi was one of the players they took off. They lost 2 defenders at half-time, Carlisle Mitchell and Odi Menzi. Probably decided to go 3 at the back and bring on that extra midfielder in Melisa. And we'll see how they rearrange now. They may have to make another change here to get maybe another specialised defender on in the back 3, but first and foremost they've got to defend this free kick and make sure they don't go 3-0 down. Well, Diogo looks the favourite to me to strike this. 2 players on the end of the wall. They do have to be a metre away from the defensive wall these days under the new rules that came in last year, of course. Can't attach yourself to the end of the wall anymore. Curled into the bottom corner, brilliantly done. And Diogo has a second of the match. Well, it's a fine finish, and BG are strolling. Nothing Casas could do. He was placed brilliantly out of his reach. That was the side that he was supposed to be looking for. They got the man lying behind the wall in case he tried to go underneath the wall. And Casas, who just maybe took a little step to his right and lost the momentum going back the other way. Brilliantly placed. And Diogo scores for the second time in the match. 7 goals in the league last season, and now he has 2 goals in this season's AFC Champions League. 2 goals in 5 games for Johor 2 years ago. He knows where the net is, Diogo Santo. And his side now lead here by 3 goals to 0. He's in a hat-trick now as well. Kaya down to 10. I suppose if you're Graham Harvey and Kaya now, you're just trying to salvage what you can from this opening game. I'm sure the inquest will start after the game. They'll watch the match back again and work out where they went wrong. Good ball from Diogo, and it's a good run in behind from Titipan as well. Oh, he sliced it right across goal. Touch just took him out wide. He was running straight through the centre. The touch took him wide, and that's really what's hindered him in the end. He had to go back across the goalkeeper. Wasn't too far away. We have got 4 teams from Thailand in the competition this year for the first time. The most we'd ever had previously was 2 teams from Thailand. Port FC, who played their first game yesterday. Chiang Rai United also in the competition, as are Ratchaburi this season. BG certainly flying the flag for Thai football at the moment. League champions, or reigning league champions. A lot to live up to when their new season gets underway. Here come Kaya, though, looking to get themselves some sort of consolation. Straight at Chachai in goal. Diogo. Santifab. Piechinok. Foul by Amita. Kaya need just to get a little spell of possession. If they could string a few passes together, I'm sure there were a few nerves around when they came out for the first half. They'll just be looking to really take whatever positives they can out of the game at the moment. Looks like they have made another change. I think that was why the goal celebration was going on. Arboleda has come on and has gone into the back line for them. Still they come here. BG, Diogo looking for his hat-trick. Driven well over the top this time. Titipan trying to get in on the scoring act. Interesting story. Titipan, who's just going in for that tackle now, he actually runs a coffee shop when he's not playing football. He's a skilled barista. I'm sure he's quite popular among his teammates. And he has got himself a yellow card here. Namita is the player that's gone down. He just got there first. It looked like it was going to be a 50-50. Titipan just got there first and yeah, did get the ball, but his foot was up. It clipped the ankle, a painful one for Amita. Gets the yellow card. Titipan Puangjan. Off Daniels. De Bruyke. Just beaten to it by Piechinok. Santifab trying to squeeze it down the line. There wasn't too much space for him. Back to PHI. Happy to go backwards if there's nothing forwards for BG. Diogo finding space once again. His movement's been excellent. Free header, and it's a simple goal. Second goal of the game for Tirasil as well, so he joins Diogo on a hat-trick now. It's a brilliant ball in, but he was completely unmarked, and the lack of a defender after Rotta's sending off has cost Kaya. And they've conceded a fourth goal, and you just have to think maybe now damage limitation is the way forward for Graham Harvey's side. Great ball in. Nobody picked up Tirasil, and he won't finish in simpler fashion, that's for sure. Diving header, just guided beyond Casas. And Tirasil Dangda gets his second goal, and BG's fourth, and quick to praise the part played by Diogo. Aurelio Vidmar is a happy man the way his side have gone about their task. So they are playing just three at the back, as you can see, Kaya, and that's what really cost them, that lack of a defender in there trying to close down the gaps. Casambre, Manassari and Arboleda. Manassari, who'd started in midfield, but those injuries and changes at half-time forcing him into the back line. Could be a long half an hour, this, for the Filipinos. Sarak. Victor. That's a clumsy ball given away. They haven't made too many errors in any department, really, BG, so far. De Bruyke just overrun it slightly. Good challenge by Sarak. Still alive on the edge of the area, though, for Kaya. Cut out by Titipan. That'll be a foul. Foul on Victor. Gaezo. Just the wrong side. He tried to clear it, Victor, and just had his leg clipped. Looked quite dramatic. I'm sure he didn't quite hurt that badly. Just the way he landed, really, for Victor was the problem. And we are going to see a triple change from BG, who are giving players some game time. So they are mindful, I'm sure, with these conditions. They have got Ulsan Hyundai next. Don't think there's any great danger that Kaya are going to come from 3 down in this one, so they can afford to rest a few players with that fixture in mind in 3 days' time. It's all about game management in this competition, as one or two of the coaches have said. All about the recovery time as well. The sports scientists will be earning their money, that's for sure. Santifat with the throw. And back by De Bruyke. Casambre. PHI not going back towards his own goal. That's well done. So we are going to see the changes. Sarak is one of those coming off. Saharat comes on.
Number 8. Replaced by player number 4.
Titipan is also coming off. Chawat is coming on. Tirasil's first goal and his second goal as well, so his work done for the afternoon. Pathum is the other player that's come on, by the way, 27-year-old wearing number 18. Santipar trying to get away from De Bruyke. Just overhit. Jodrak trying to get down that far side. Daniels. De Bruyke having to come back a long way to try and get the ball. De Bruyke is almost playing as a sort of a left-sided player that's a defender, a midfielder and an attacker at the moment, because he's having to get back and support his back three. Credit to Graham Harvey, though, he hasn't put an extra man in the back four. Let's hope that doesn't cost him by conceding more goals. It can be soul-destroying if you suffer a big defeat, particularly in your first game in the competition. There's Casambre. Graham Harvey said that one of the decisions to join the club was it's run by honest people, football people. A lot of the backroom staff have been at the club a number of years. Just see him there on his technical area, Graham Harvey. That game against Shanghai Port was the first game he's overseen. He wouldn't have known too much about his players. Making a change, De Bruyke has now gone off. And it's Javier Galloso that comes on. His grandfather was Ed Ocampo, who was a former footballer, who was actually the winner of an award called the Mr. Football Award. A fantastic award to have, Mr. Football. Anyway, Galloso is on. Usually plays as a left-back. He will occupy the left side, vacated by De Bruyke. Aurelio Vidmar has the luxury of making changes to preserve legs. I wonder if we'll see Diogo play out the 90 minutes, or whether he might get himself a rest early on, having scored 2 goals. He's on a hat-trick. Tirasil was on a hat-trick as well, of course. He's now gone off. Reminder, Simeone Rota sent off in the incident that led to goal number 3 when Diogo fired in the free kick, and that really was the turning point. Tirasil went on to add a 4th just short of the hour. There's Pathum, the substitute. Piachinok. Santipar. Good ball down the line. Charwat. Straight into the game, the substitutes. That's Galloso. Looks like he has gone to 4 at the back now, with Galloso coming on and going in at his recognised left-back position. Actually, his debut, Javier Galloso, only signed on the 13th of June, so along with Graham Harvey, he's a new addition to the Kaya team. Bouncing awkwardly, no one able to get a decisive touch. Eventually the ball's cleared away for a throw right in the corner. Have looked a little bit nervy at the back. Kaya, has to be said. Something they'll need to tighten up for their next game against Vital from Vietnam. PHI. Saharat. I just had a little foot left in on him there. Saharat. So one of those 3 substitutes. It's his debut season last season at BG. Made 6 appearances, 3 off the bench. Was at Kung Khan FC prior to that. Here comes another change. It's Ernesto that's coming on. Is a Thai resident now, having been born in Oviedo in Spain. Has a Spanish father and a Thai mother. And he comes on for the final quarter of the match, just under a quarter of the match, in fact. Is there a consolation in this for Kaya? No foul. When it doesn't go for you, it doesn't go for you, that's for sure. Well, good save, Casas. Pathum with the shot. Substitute trying to get in on the goal-scoring act as well. It's a good save by Casas, who made that error for the first goal. He just managed to stay on side. He just got the better of Manasari. And he hit it with his right foot as well. That was really well controlled on the volley. You thought he would have always favoured the left foot from that side, but he managed just to shift his body round and get the shot in. Really good effort. Well, Kaya's defensive day may not be over just yet. Mention those reggae influences that run through FC Kaya. There's a Bob Marley song, Get Up, Stand Up. I think that's what Graham Harvey will be asking his side to do in the next game against Vittel. So only 3 days they've got to prepare for that. This is the point where the temperature starts to have an impact as well. Jodrak was the player that went off, by the way, for Ernesto coming on. Been a fairly competent debut for him, as it has been for the man who's played just inside him for the 70 minutes he was on the field, Kevin Ingresso. There's Casambre. Amita. Pursued by Chawat. BG have dominated possession. Just 2 shots on target for Kaya. 7 on target for BG. They've scored 4 of them. It's away by PHI. So it's very difficult for a new coach coming into a club to define what their expectations would be coming into this. As Wednesday, when they played that playoff, of course, they hadn't qualified for the group stage. They've only had a couple of days to digest and had been here for a few days because they had to quarantine before they played that playoff against Shanghai Port. Here's Santipa. Right across goal, Arboleda allowed it to run. There was no one coming in behind him. PHI. Sahara. Victor. PG just slowing things down to almost walking pace at the moment. Tunez. Ernesto, the substitute. Pathum who had that shot a moment or so ago. Nice play. This is Santipap. Trying to slip that one into the bottom corner. That's good defending. Santipap with the ball in once again. Better from Kaya at the back, who've just tightened up a little. Now they've gone to a back four. That's an excellent block. As Gayoso just shepherded the ball out of play. Good strength. Reminder, we'll see the defending champions for the first time in around about 2.5 hours' time. Second game in this stadium a little later on. Ulsan Hyundai taking on Vitel from Vietnam. Ulsan, who beat Persepolis from Iran in the final last year. Such a great record in this competition, sides from the Korea Republic, 12 wins. Japan is the next best with 7. Tunez. Ingresso. Won't quite get that. Well, that will be the drinks break in the second half. Well, Graham Harvey there. He'll be despondent, I'm sure, after that, the highs of that win over Shanghai Port just a couple of days ago, and now to the lows of a big defeat in your opening day game in the group stage. This is where your qualifications as a coach and a manager come in. You have to pick the players up. No time for dwelling on a big defeat. You have to regroup and get ready to face the next task in hand. I'm sure they'll be disappointed tonight, but tomorrow they'll do their recovery and get back on the training pitch and prepare to take on Vitel on Tuesday. BG, on the other hand, excellent preparations for them, taking on the defending champions next. Matches 3 and 4 are always the reverse fixtures. Let's take a look at Diogo's couple of goals. That was the first one in the first half, and this, a brilliantly struck free kick. Placed it into the bottom corner, out of the reach of Casas. And then he turned provider for Tirasil's diving header. Tirasil getting his second of the match. He's since been substituted, but Diogo has been standout performer. If you're looking for a man of the match, then look no further than Diogo Luis Santo. Santipap is coming off. Saripim is coming on. So that's the final change made by BG. Pathum United. I was about to say, going back to Diogo, he moved from Brazil in 2008. He played for Olympiacos in Greece for a couple of years. ended up in Thailand 6 years ago. Scored 68 goals in 72 matches for Buriram United. And 16 in 32 for Johor. Actually scored 34 goals for Buriram in the 2018 season. And got 3 hat-tricks. They really couldn't contain him, and he is the kind of man you have to stop as a defender. And unfortunately, Kaya haven't managed that today. Chawat with the free kick. Or gives away the free kick, rather. Daiso with an uncomfortable one to the stomach. It's 11 minutes to go. Diogo. Nice football cut out by Fuji. Daniels. Amita. Amita covering plenty of ground, the substitute. Reminder, they are down to 10 men, Kaya, after Simeone Rota was sent off in the incident that led to Diogo getting the 3rd goal. Diogo, it was brought down, he took the free kick. Here he's on the ball again. Dominant BG Pathum United today. Diogo. He's inches away from getting the ball away and a clear run on goal. Good defending by Casambre. It's a good ball over the top as well for Daiso. There's no one in the middle. Amita's arriving now on the edge of the area. BG have got plenty of players back behind the ball. Good challenge from Ernesto. Gets it away for a throw. Resolute, I think, is a word to describe the BG defence today. Ernesto, the man that came on not too long ago, doing his bit on defensive duty. We're inside the final 10 minutes of the match. Well, chance! And Kaya get their first goal. It's Angeles who scores, and PHI beaten. There'll be no clean sheet for him today. 19 in the Thai League last season, but he's been beaten here by a great strike, which has been appreciated by Graham Harvey, and he'll be pleased with his side's endeavours. They've kept going in the face of some adversity here today. He's got the captain's armband on now, Angeles, and that is brilliant struck from Marvin Angeles, the man born in Venice in Italy. Now applying his trade in the Philippines. He is Filipino. And he's got a consolation. And they found a way through. That will give them confidence going into the next match. You can be sure of that. Finally a shot that has beaten PHI. Offside against Pathum. Fuji has caught in possession. Chawat. Surachat. It's cut out again. Well, Kaya haven't left their heads drop. You have to say, you have to admire their resolve. 4-0 down, and they kept pressing, and they've been rewarded for that pressing. Angeles, the goal scorer. Amita trying to get down the line, shepherded out of play by Surachat. Well, I'm sure the coaching staff from both teams will be sticking around to see how Vital and Ulsan Hyundai line up a little bit later on, and how they can plot to try and pick up points against them. Can Vital cause an upset later and beat the defending champions, or certainly get something off the defending champions in their opening match? Surachat, Diogo. Nice little give and go once again. Diogo, this is where it is most dangerous. Holds the ball up well, Diogo. This is Pathum. No real power in the shot. It was straight at Casas. I know they've had to change the formation, Kaya, but even down to 10 men, just 4 at the back looks a little bit more stable for them. They played that 3, of course, after the sending off, but Gayoso coming on to make it a back 4 again has made them look a little bit more secure. BG will be disappointed they haven't managed to add another clean sheet to their CV. Saharat, Victor, Piachinok. Tunez. Given away again. Well, it was the industry of Daezo that led to the goal. He's coming forward again, just overran it that time as he tried to find Daniels. Kaya weren't helped by the loss of Carlisle Mitchell, who picked up a knock at half-time. I'm not too sure whether Odi Menzi was a tactical change. It's 3 against 1 here. It's another chance. Straight at the goalkeeper from Amita, and he'll be disappointed. He had support up. Maybe players in slightly better shooting positions, but Amita shot straight at the goalkeeper. And what a chance for Kaya to reduce the deficit even further. Here's Diogo. Chawat. Ernesto. Away by Masanari. Now Kaya will come again. They're finishing the stronger here. Daniels bursting through the centre. Some tired legs out there. Daezo, who's played the whole match, was pushed out wide by Arboleda. Angeles. Over the top by Fuji, but I was always going to favour the goalkeeper, PHI. It was a wasteful ball, Diogo. He's just playing a little bit deeper now. I think he realises that Kaya are just pressing. He might have to help just add numbers into midfield. Happy to let Kaya come onto them at the moment. They do have a 3-goal cushion. There's no danger of them losing the match now. It's Angeles, man who scored the goal. Fuji. Masanari. Overhit, looking for Gayoso. Here's the final Kaya change. Fuji is going off.
Player number 4.
Eric Giganto
Player number 9.
is the man that's come on. It was just less than a couple of minutes now. That looks slightly overrun there. Here is Giganto. Free kick. Referee just pulled that one back for the foul on Pathum. Well, they seem to get something on the ball. He also got something on the man as well. You see from here, no, he didn't get anything on the ball. Some of those replay angles can be deceptive. Here's a free kick. He may have injured himself in the process here, just overstretching slightly. And the magic spray always works. Well, he's been their standout performer today, the man in the foreground there, Diogo. 2 goals and an excellent cross for Tirasil to head home. And the other 2 teams in the group, I'm sure, will be looking on at both Tirasil and Diogo and knowing that if they can stop them, maybe they can stem this BG Pathum United tide. Tirasil with his 2 goals. Bit of treatment for PHI as well, just while we were waiting here. Angales is going off. They've used all 5 substitutes as well, so if he's unable to continue, they will finish the match here with 9 men. Having had Simeone Rota sent off, we're into stoppage time at the end of the match. The magic spray didn't work on this particular occasion, or certainly hasn't worked as yet. Free kick to BG, 4 minutes added time. Diogo.
There will be 4 minutes of half time.
Saharat. Tunez. BG going on to become just the 2nd Thai debutants to win a match after Burinam United beat Kashiwa Reysol. It's been a while since they've recorded a win on a first appearance. And just a 3rd win for a team from Thailand in the competition. Big day for Aurelio Vidmar's team. Piachinok heads away. Gleozo. Amita. It's Cassambro back to Masanari. PHI will allow that one to run out of play. Reminder again, the other 2 teams in the group will be going head-to-head in a couple of hours' time. Ulsan Hyundai, the defending champions, against Vitel from Vietnam. Should be a good game. And a couple of games in Group I coming up for you today as well. Kawasaki Frontale against Daegu FC from Korea. And another Philippines team in action, United FC, or United City FC rather, taking on Beijing from China. Those 2 games coming up a little bit later on. That Vitel game is at 9 o'clock in the evening local time. We're adjust your timings wherever in the world you are. Should be a good one. Looking forward to seeing Ulsan and how they begin their defence. As they won the title, of course, in Doha in Qatar back in December, after the tournament postponed due to COVID, after the first couple of rounds of matches was played in the centralised Gulf state. It's a good tournament as well. PHI, Victor. Ernesto. Pathum. It's out to Chawat, just over the top though. Well, they were queuing up for a shot there. Nobody could hit the target. That man might have hit the target. Not the debut that Kaya FC wanted, but a big day for BG Pathum United. The Thai champions last season, who was so dominant in the league, have emerged victors. Diogo scored twice, one a brilliant free kick and one seizing on a through ball. Victor was rarely troubled at the back. Tirasil Dangda scored the other two goals, one of them set up by Diogo's brilliant cross, and it was a great diving header beyond Casas. Angeles scored a consolation 8 minutes from time from Kaya, who in credit didn't let their heads drop. They battled right to the very end, despite the fact they had Simeone Rota sent off before that third goal, when Diogo was able to rifle in the free kick into the bottom corner. Aurelio Vidmar can celebrate an opening victory for him back at the club, while Graham Harvey, who was also in charge for just the second time today, will have work to do ahead of the game against Vital in a couple of days' time. It's Ulsan Hyundai up next for BG Pathum United. It's finished here, BG Pathum United 4, Kaya FC 1.